And right now, I am 34 hours into this week's fast. Can you believe it? More than a day. More than a day and a half, in fact. And I want to talk to a critical shift that's happening in my body right now and in my brain. See, in the early hours of fasting, it's all about biology. Your insulin drops, your glycogen is depleting, and your ketones are starting to rise. But here's the truth. After more than 30 hours, it's not just about biology anymore. It's about structure. Because right now, your brain wants to know, do we keep going or do we quit? And the answer isn't found in how you feel, it's found in what you've already planned. That's right, what you've already planned. And certainly after 34 hours, that is the case. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. And we are living limitless lives, which says that we're not allowing anything to prevent us from doing what we need to do. Nothing from outside and nothing from inside. We're breaking through barriers, we're pushing through obstacles, and we are creating the life we've always wanted. We're showing up with our best self, our best health, and our best plans. And I welcome you wherever you are right now, in whatever platform you're joining us, whether it's on Twitch or Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have been in the fast, and if you've been following us, you know we are excited to be in this space. I've got some things that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. I've got my glucose monitors that we will look at. Let's see. Let me make sure that I've got those right there. Okay. And we're going to take a look at my blood sugars as well. And so we can see what's been going on. You'll see that there on the screen. But also looking at my report. And down below, you'll see my Dexcom Clarity report. We'll see what my blood sugars have been running over the last several days as we've continued into this week's fast. We are talking about the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. And all that we're doing over the last several weeks has been based on this idea that we can have a blueprint for reversing diabetes and improving our metabolism, particularly improving our metabolic health, so that we can reverse, delay, fix all of those metabolic issues that seem to come up when we talk about chronic disease. And we're using this as a space for that. If you've not been with us as we've walked through the different components of the health action plan, that is, you want to make sure you do that. Over on the YouTube channel, we've been talking about fasting. We've been talking about walking. We've been talking about strength training. And let me go ahead. I'm going to pull that up for us so you can actually take a look to get an idea of what's been going on over the last several weeks. And let's go ahead. I'm going to grab, there we are. Okay. And so we've been out there, we've been exercising. Once again, if you've not been with us, you want to make sure you get there. We've got some weightlifting that we do. We've got some body toning, some strength training, some balance exercises that we're doing. And all of this is part of what we are terming our MOVE campaign. As part of our MOVE campaign, that is metabolic optimization via exercise. And these are fundamental components, fundamental pillars, if you will, of our Limitless Living Health Action Plan. So if you've not been with us walking, well, strength training now, as we're in this series, and certainly if you've not been with us walking, you want to make sure that you're doing that. The Limitless Living Health Action Plan, we have been rolling that out, and we are on pillar number 7 this week as we talked about planning and structure. Planning and structure, we'll get more into that as we get into our show tonight. And then I see some of our community members that are out there that we'll get over to say hello to and see how you are doing. But right now, let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And you saw earlier This is what my Freestyle Libre says that my blood sugar is, and we're looking at this number right. Let's see. There we go. Right here. Looking at that number right now. And so right now my blood sugar is a 61. If you come further down on that, let's see, let me make sure. Okay, pointing. There you go. If you come further down, you'll see right about here, this is where the graph for my blood sugar is. And you'll see part of that graph is red, part of the graph is white. And the white part is blood sugars that are right above 100, actually right above 70, let me say that. And then the ones that are, the part of it that's red is below 70. And you'll see that my blood sugar starting right about 3:30-ish, 3:30, about almost 4 o'clock this afternoon, dropped below 70, and it's kind of maintained that space. Let's go ahead and get over to the Dexcom, and this is a 24-hour view for the Dexcom. And if I run my finger, once again, we're looking at, there's my blood sugar right now, and then down further below, you'll see that is where the graph is. And if I put my finger, we can run through and see what my blood sugars have been running over the course of the last 24 hours. So we started over there in the 1-teens, low 100s, come into the morning, and this is what I always call this the toothpaste effect. You'll see the spike that goes up there, and it got up this morning to what, let's see, what was the highest that we see there? 125, and that's all toothpaste and hormonal effects, right? And then over the course of the day, continued to stay in the low 100s, and then dropped below 100 right there, and then continued going down, and kind of hovering between 90s and 100s, finally got into the 90s and kind of remained there, and then dropped into the 80s and remained there as well into where we are right now. So that's what's been going on over the last 24 hours in terms of blood sugars. Now let's take a look at my monitors. Okay, so I've got, like I said, my Keto Mojo, and I've got my Contour. And let's go ahead and grab my container. We've got a brown for the blood sugar. We've got a blue for ketones. And what do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? If you're out there, give me a guess. What do you think ketones are going to be after 34 hours of fasting? 34 hours of fasting. And if you were with me, and we'll take a look at that when we get to the report. If you were with me yesterday, you saw what I ate for the last meal. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and watch that episode that we did yesterday. That was our check-in that we did right around 1 o'clock or thereabouts. All right, so get that strip in, and go ahead and open this strip for the blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. Get that in. And I'm going to actually go ahead and start opening up the test strip for the ketones as well, because that's the one that always gives me trouble, and I don't want to have to stick myself up again. All right, so here's my Lancet. All right, so there's my needle, and grab a finger, and ow, that actually hurt. And, oh, come on, I thought I gave, okay, there we go. A much better drop of blood, and not as brisk as I thought it was going to be, but that's okay. That's enough to get that started. All right, and let's get back here. And so here you'll see what my blood sugars are. This is the Keto Mojo. This is the Contour, and then right there you'll see what the Dexcom says it is. So 67, 74, 85. And then let's go ahead and get this strip out and get the ketone one in. And I see some of you are dropping some guesses in there. So let's see if you are close. All right. And drum roll, please. Drum roll. So 34 hours of fasting. Let's see what that will show. 3, 2, 1, and 0.8. 0.8. I think I did see someone who guessed the 0.8. So congratulations. And then let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at what the Dexcom says that my blood sugars are right now based on my report. And so you'll see my average blood sugar is 123. This is for the last 2 weeks with a glucose management indicator of 6.2. That means if I were to get an A1C right now, that's what my blood sugar would approximate, or my A1C would approximate. I can't call it a A1C because it's a calculated number. I am in target 100% of the time, with my target being anywhere from 70 to 180. If I change this to a 90-day view, so 3 months, and that's what the A1C is typically based on, my average is 114 for the last 90 days with a glucose management indicator of 6.0. In target 97% of the time, with that target once again being between 70 and 180, right in there. Now, if we look at my graph, and so what I want to do, first of all, a couple of things, is going back to yesterday, and so we started the fast right about here, right about 1 o'clock. And so 125 is what the blood sugar was. And then scrolling through, notice that we didn't have a big spike. In fact, we continued going down over the course of the day into where we are. See, that's where we are. Yeah, that's where we are. I don't see the one for coming into tonight, so we'll have to kind of see if that will sync. But notice that right after the meal, right, we spiked up to, like, we started, like I said, at 125. We got up to 130, 134, and then the rest of it kind of has been pretty stable. Okay, which is what we want. So you want that last meal. The last meal before you get into the fast, you don't want that to spike your blood sugar. You don't want that to spike the blood sugars significantly. All right. So let's go ahead and get back, and now we're going to say hello to some of our community members. Actually, let me do one thing. Let's see. Can I do that? Yes. Let's see if we can try that. What I want to do is I want to go back and take a look. For those of you who have not seen what the meal was that we ate, just a quick view of that as we put that together. Let's see if we pull that up here really quickly. All right, and let's get back here. Okay, so that's not the one that we wanted. Not sure where that one came from. Okay, here we go. Okay, here I am. Oh, I think I just clicked on the wrong thing. But that's okay. That's okay. Here we are. All right, so here I am, and all right, so we are putting together our last meal, and the last meal was a combination of it really is with keeping with the balanced bites idea. So whole foods, right? Minimize processing, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, portion control, and tasty and flavorful. And so as you see that, I've got some eggs, I've got some toasted almonds there, I've got some cheese. Let's go back here. Got some cheese and some banana peppers. Here I have some cheese again, and here is a hamburger patty. And then, of course, I was taking the onions out of that because I was about to finish eating and go into patient room, so wanted to make sure I did not have those onions as part of what I was eating. I took out the corn because the corn was going to spike my blood sugars, which I did not want. All right, and then I added the strips of steak. And then added some eggs, some of the boiled eggs and cheese, along with my favorite type of dressing, which is ranch. Okay. All right. So if you've not watched that episode, go ahead and watch that. That gives you a little bit more detail in the discussion that we talked about. So let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members that I do see out there. Let's see. And I do see Jion out there. She's saying hello. She says, hi, doctor. And Limitless Living Gang, LLG. So hi, Jion. Welcome, welcome. And then Kenti Fried Icer. So Jion, she's saying hello. Cornelia, hi, Dr. Sis. And Kenti, all right, glad that you're here. And then Jion saying hello. Jion once again saying hello. Hello, folks. And Jion guessing that my ketones were going to be 0.9. Kenti guessing that 0.4. And then Cornelia 0.8. And Cornelia was right on the money, so we can give a hand clap to her. All right. And she said, Jion says, your last meal was great. All healthy food, I thought. Yes, it was very healthy. And Jion said, wow, sis. Okay, so just congratulations to Cornelia for guessing the right, and then you are welcome. All right, so that's what's been going on in terms of blood sugars and where we are with getting into the fast, the last meal for the fast. And you see that if you have been fasting, or if you are fasting, if you fasted with us for day 1, you want to put a 1, day 2, which is we are in right now, day 2. We're in 34 hours, so put a 2. And if you are going to be fasting starting tomorrow when we end day 2, go ahead and put a 3. And then, of course, for those of you who are out there that are doing the complete fast, you want to put a T for a total in the fast. Okay. So right now, as part of our discussion, this whole idea of planning and structure comes into place. So let's go ahead and let's look at that right now. All right. And so our conversation, all right, let's do that. Here we go. So we've been talking about the process of reversing our diabetes and improving our metabolism. And we know that the basis for many of the chronic diseases that we have has to do with dysfunctional metabolism. Metabolism, once again, is that idea that the body takes food and it converts it to energy. And whenever there's something that goes awry in that process, we get dysfunctional metabolism, which ultimately leads to the metabolic diseases that we talk about. And so in this space, our goal has been to say, how do we negate that? How do we prevent it from progressing? And if we are already in that space, if we already have complications, if we already have a disease process that is causing havoc, or even a disease process that we think we have under control, right? So we've been doing the things that we need to do, and right now, we're on medications. The blood sugars are not that high. Blood pressure is controlled, but we're on medication. Our weight is not going up, but it's not going down. It's been basically staying where it is. Our fatty liver is not progressing, but it's not reversing. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is there. You may have difficulty with hirsutism, so abnormal hair growth. You may have difficulty with acne, with getting pregnant, with having menstrual cycles. So all those things are complications that come from this whole idea of metabolism or metabolic disease. And so how do we correct that? And so we've been walking along the path as we journey down the road to say, what are some things that we can do? Because why is that important? We already know. We already know that the numbers of people who are continually having metabolic disease, we know those numbers are going up. They're getting higher and higher and higher. And we don't seem to be able to find a way to mitigate that. And so if the things that we're doing, if the things we have been doing are not working, they're not giving us the benefit that we want, then we've got to find a different way. And the Health Action Plan is a blueprint, if you will. It's a way of saying, if I follow these plans, just like if I'm building a house, if I'm putting together something, recently for our strength strategy and mindset, I went out and I bought a set of weights. So we had the dumbbells, we've got the bench, we've got the rack that's holding the weight. And I went and I got the instructions. Right now, I don't usually read the instructions. You should try it first. But in this case, I got the instructions, and there's the blueprint right there. It says, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like, first of all. And if you follow this, you will end up with this thing over here. And so Limitless Living Health Action Plan is that blueprint that says, if you follow this, we'll end up over here. As part of that blueprint, as part of that, one of the pillars is this idea of fasting. And fasting is a fascinating process because it serves as the reset for the body. It serves as, to use another analogy, if I'm building a house and the house is an old house, the house has maybe some damage, maybe some things that need fixing. So I come in and I get that house and I gut it. I tear out walls, I pull up floors, I get rid of all the junk that's in there. And what fasting is doing, fasting is that thing that is resetting. It's gutting the house. It's taking out all the damaged, broken pieces that are in there, and is getting us ready to improve the process. Yeah. So fasting is easiest when it's already decided. So we're talking about how do we fast successfully, right? So fasting is easiest when it's already decided. The biggest mistake that people make in extended fasting is trying to redecide every few hours. I want you to hear me, right? So every few hours it's like, okay, I'm going to fast a little longer. Oh, I'm doing a great job, so let me keep going. Should I go? Should I continue doing this? That's the biggest mistake. Should I keep going? Maybe I'll just do 36 hours instead of 72 hours. I didn't sleep well. Maybe I'll eat early. You will talk yourself out of your goals if you don't have structure to fall back on, because at that point we're relying on how we feel, we're relying on our motivation, we're relying on those immediate circumstances around us to help dictate what we do. As an example, this week I am off of my routine. I'm off of my routines because we've got some conferences that are going on this week, and so I have been not coming home at that time. And the temptation here is to say, you know what, this week, since I'm off my routine there, let me do a shorter fast. In fact, as I came home, I'm getting ready to come on the show, right? In my head, the question for me was, well, not the question, but the thing that I had to be mindful of is that when you're off your routine, when I'm off of my plan, when I am tired, right? The brain begins to send those questions. You know what? Why don't you just end the fast tonight? We'll start back over tomorrow. We can do it next week when everything is back on track. Do you have to do a 72-hour this week? You've already done 34 hours. Why don't we stop here? And if we're constantly having that conversation, we will talk ourselves out of the goals, and we will continue to waffle if we don't have structure, if we've not already decided. because structure stabilizes your mindset when motivation disappears. So here are your key questions. Did you already decide? Did you decide how long you were going to fast? Did you decide what your refeed meal looks like? Did you schedule your distractions, your meals, your moments of vulnerability? Because they're coming. If not, you're not failing, you're just floating, right? If you have not done that, right, you're not failing, you're just floating. And we don't want to float. We want to have a plan in place that says, I'm no longer relying on just me to do this. It's kind of like getting on a seesaw, and I meant not seesaw, but a slide. And I mentioned this today in our check-in. When you get to the top of that slide and you get over that hump, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Because the slide is going, because you're in the groove, you're in the process, you're in the space. So how do we use structure in mid-fast, right? So at 34 hours, this mark right here, let's talk about 3 practical structures that can carry you through the next 24 hours to 36 and to 48. Number 1, the fasting calendar. This should already have your start time. It should have your planned break time. It should have your refeeding window, right? Because all of those are already set. And if the refeeding window has not come yet, then the structure says, I keep going. Knowing what those 3 things are, the start time, your planned break time, and your refeeding window, knowing this keeps you out of the maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't zone. Right? That's number 1. Number 2, balanced bites, the template for refeeding. We don't want to wait until 71 hours to ask, what should I eat? What am I going to eat next? And you hear me as I begin my fast. I'm always asking you, okay, what do you think? So when we're starting the fast, I don't ask you, hey, what should I eat to as my last meal? I'm like, okay, I'm eating my last meal. We're getting into the fast. We're just starting. When we did our fast 2 days ago, when we started the fast, we did a check-in. I was like, hey, we're starting the fast. What do you want me to eat to end the fast? Because I'm anticipating that. I'm saying, okay, what are we going to do? Because I need to have structure. I need to have a plan. We want to decide now. Proteins, whole foods, minimize processing, no added sugar. What meal are you going to eat that helps you continue the success of what just happened in the fast? What are we going to do to not sabotage all the work that we've just put in? When the refeed is part of the structure and not just, oh, well, I fasted. Yeah, I did such a great job. Now I have to figure out what I'm going to eat as I get back into my life, right? That's what we think. That's not what it is. It is the structure. It is a part of. It is a planned thing that we're doing already. When the refeed is part of the structure, it becomes part of the strategy, right? Planning and strategy, planning and structure, planning and strategy, all of that. Number 3, mental mastery cues. At 34 hours, cravings are often emotional and not physical. There is physical hunger, there is psychological hunger. Physical hunger simply means that my body right now needs energy. It needs food. It needs all the things that it requires to help it run, to get the heart going, to get the lungs going, to keep all the parts of it functioning. And most of us have enough stored energy to run the body. It's kind of like having a generator at the house. Actually, when we went camping several months ago, we took one of these little battery packs. I'm not going to call the brand, but it was You took it out, you can plug things into it. So when we were out there, when the power went out, or if we needed it, when I took my group camping just actually a couple months ago, it was out there, we plugged into it. And so when we are not eating, the body has enough energy. Most of us have stored energy that the body can just tap into. It doesn't need to go find food anywhere else. That's physical hunger when the body needs it. Psychological hunger is what is being told to us by a brain that says, oh, I need to eat such and such. Now, I'll have people who will say to me, oh, I'm going to starve. I can't go 24 hours because I'm going to starve. No, you're not going to starve. Trust me. Yeah. So those cravings that are coming, they're not physical. They're all in the mind, and they're all built into those emotions. So mental mastery says, how do I take charge of my mind? What process am I going through? What is my preparation? We talk about preparing for a fast, getting through a fast, and ending a fast. The mental mastery part comes in that preparation. So that we know that we're going to have times when the body's going to say, hey, go get some stuff, but it's not something that is an absolute requirement. It is just the emotions that are being touched, that are being pushed. The heat model, habits, emotions, access, and taste. That is a very important process to think through. What is the thing that's driving me? What is pushing me right now to be in that space, to feel like I've got to get something to eat? It's not that my body needs it, because I know that. So what is it that's causing that? So mental mastery. And then we want to use, on the mental mastery, we want to use our journaling prompts. We want to try to get some things that we are going to ask ourselves. What am I really hungry for right now? Remember the COPE model? Clarify, observe, pause, and execute. The clarify part says, okay, what is going on? I know it's not hunger. We've just said that. We've just decided that. We've just proved that it's not hunger. I'm not hungry. So what is it that I'm hungry for right now? That psychological hunger. What is it that's pushing me right now? That's that prompt. Have that plastered somewhere. Or you can use what's called a reset affirmation. This hunger is healing. My body knows what to do. I don't have to give in. Here's an interesting idea. Often we're so used to moving away from discomfort, moving away from quote unquote pain, moving away from things that are uncomfortable, that as soon as we get a thought that we're uncomfortable, as soon as we get a thought that things are not quite going well, as soon as we get kind of an inkling that, I don't feel quite myself, we fix it. And often, in this case, one of the things that we do to fix it is we eat. So this hunger is the phrase. This hunger is healing. My body knows what to do right now. I don't have to push myself out of this space. And then you want to reflect before you react. Reflect before you react. And this is going along, once again, with the idea of our heat model. And the heat model says that we clarify, we observe, we pause, and we execute. That's not the heat model, but the COPE model. If you've made it 34 hours, it means you already won. But the next phase requires something a little different. This next phase requires something a little different. Less energy, more awareness, less reactivity, and more structure. Right? So we don't need to put more energy into I'm not going to. That's not what we need. But we need to be aware. And awareness comes through clarification. Right? COPE model, clarify, observe, pause, execute. more aware what's going on within us. This whole idea of mindfulness, being present, being open to the fact that I am making the decisions. I'm driving this. It's not my body that's driving this. We're going to be less reactive. That's the pause. The pause allows the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of the brain, to overshadow the amygdala and the limbic system, these are the survival systems. These are the basal, hey, I got to get through this. Because your body, your mind, when we are in that stressful environment, we will choose comfort over what? We will choose comfort over pain. And the structure allows us to stay in the space saying, okay, I know this right now is uncomfortable. I know right now it feels like I'm hungry. I know right now that thing is calling to me, but I don't have to succumb. Right? And that's where the structure comes in. So more structure. We don't need more reactivity. We need more structure. And we want to ask ourselves, what pre-decisions have I already made that are serving me? What things have I already decided? I've already decided I'm doing a 24-hour fast or 36-hour fast or 72-hour fast. What decisions have I made? I've already decided that I'm fasting from Monday to Tuesday, or from Tuesday to Thursday. I've already decided that. I'm going to end my fast at this time. I'm already decided that. What am I going to eat to end the fast? What's going to be the first meal that I eat? In fact, what's the last meal I'm going to eat before I get into the fast? And then another question, what am I still trying to figure out moment by moment? What decisions am I still in the process of trying to make every time I get into a fast? Okay, am I going to eat? Should I eat? What am I going, right? So those decisions, what are those that we're still trying to decide? And then how do we fix those? How do we get into the space where those aren't decisions that we're going to be making all the time? Because it's right there. We've already decided. We've got the outline. We've got the blueprint. We've got the structure. And how can I take 10 minutes to make the rest of my fast easier tomorrow? So as you go through the day, right, particularly if you're doing one of the extended fasts, or even if you're doing a 24-hour fast, right, what can I do right now to help my fast tomorrow go well? For many people, I recommend that you start your fast actually in the evening, right? Why? Because when you start fasting in the evening, by the time you wake up, you've already done 7 to 8 hours. Yeah. Remember, a lot of it has to do with how the mind works. Mental mastery. We are trying to master what the brain does, what the brain thinks, how it behaves. And so those little things that we put in place that helps it, very important, because they help us to determine, or they help us to put the structure, the plan in place so that my brain doesn't have to make a decision. Remember, if we have to make a decision, then we can run the risk of that mental fatigue, that cognitive dissonance. And the brain, in the space of having to make those decisions, it will make the decision that's the easiest. And often the decision that's the easiest is to end the fast and to eat. So right now, when I'm done here, the very first thing I'm doing is taking a shower, and I'm getting to bed. You know why? Because if I stay up longer, because I'm off of my schedule already, I'm tired. And the brain has this capacity to tell us a story, if we're not careful, that will derail us. Remember the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories that are there, the stories that are part of our thought process. Those I should say all, but many of those come from the heat model: habits, emotions, access, and taste. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. And when we're not careful, that can cause problems for us as we try to do what we need to do to be successful in the fasting space. You don't need more motivation. You need more structure. Structure is what gives your brain the margin to heal. It gives you the space to heal. Your body, you allow your body to clarify the fasting and clarify the thought process and clarify, what am I doing? You don't need more motivation. When there's structure, you don't have to wonder about what I'm going to do. It's already done. When there's structure, when there's a plan, when there's a process, you're more likely to continue that process, because the brain at that point doesn't want to make another decision. It's like, okay, we've already planned this. If I have now to sit and plan again, the brain will default to the plan that we already have. But if we don't do that, right? If we don't do that, then we run the risk of continuing to have to make those decisions. And we keep trying to make the decision. And we don't have to do that. Because in our thought process, right, this action plan that we've come up with, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, those 7 pillars, we're going through the process. And I talked today in our check-in, I said the Limitless Living Health Action Plan is, first of all, it's a blueprint. If I follow this, then when I get over here, it's going to look like what it's supposed to look like. It's going to look like the blueprint. One of the things that I do sometimes is, and I have to admit that I don't always read the instructions. Yeah, I don't always read the instructions. I get the blueprint, I get the instructions, and I look at it, and I say, okay, I know what it's supposed to look like, and I start putting it together. Now, I've had occasions where I've had to kind of go back and change a bolt here and change a screw there and put this thing right because you did it upside down. Or you put part 6A where part 6B was supposed to be, right? But the blueprint, if we follow the blueprint, it first of all shows us what it's supposed to look like. This is what it look. If you do this, this is what it's going to look like, and it gives you the instructions on how to get from here. All this stuff that's on the ground, all the stuff that's in the box, all the stuff parts that are not together, to this thing that's supposed to look like this. So that's number 1. Number 2, the action plan functions as guardrails. You know, when you're driving down the side of the road, there's those guardrails. If your car happens to go off the road, if there are no guardrails, then you don't know and you continue going. And so guardrails are there to basically when you hit it, to prevent you from continuing to go. And so the 7 pillars that we have are designed to also be guardrails. They're supposed to alert us when we're off course. It's like, oh my goodness, look at this. It's been a week now. I have not walked. I have not picked up the weights. Man, I have not even thought about balanced bites. I continue to eat just whatever. Designed to be guardrails. The next thing that it's designed to be a checklist. And I know I use this example all the time. When the pilot gets on the plane, I need them to do checklists. Right? I need them to go through the list to make sure that everything that was supposed to be done is done, so that the plane, on the journey that we're on, the plane gets from here to where it's supposed to go, where I'm supposed to be. And when we go through the checklist, the chances of arriving at our destination goes up. But if we don't do the checklist, we don't know. And even in the process, say we don't go through the checklist and something happens, we don't know what happened, what was wrong. I was talking to somebody, was it last night or the night before? And they were pointing out that they talked to some folks who do they run events, and they come in and they go through a checklist. Okay, that's working, that's working, that's working, that's working. Right? They document that it's working, and things that are not working, they document what's not working. And so when you're going through your checklist, right, structure and planning, strategy and planning, when you're going through your checklist, then you get to record, okay, this works well, this doesn't seem to be working the way I thought it was going to. So you're making that list so that now when you come back to that process, you can go and you can say, okay, I saw that this wasn't working, I made a note of it, okay, now let's focus on that. Going back to the domains of health and the limitless living inventory. The idea is to look at each of those domains so that we can see what's working and what's not working. The same thing here, a plan. And remember, as you're fasting, you're not just not eating. You're building discipline, you're stacking wins, and you're becoming someone new. So we are redesigning. We are rebuilding. We are recasting this body. We're changing our mind. And we are setting ourselves up for the best possibility of success when we do that. And so when we combine planning and structure with the fasting, so we've reset the body, we're going through all of the health action plan, and now we have the plan and the structure to keep those things going despite me, despite my efforts, despite my willpower, despite my emotions, despite my motivation, despite all that. When I set that in place and I've done a good job, then it is automatic. It becomes a routine. It becomes what we do. This is just who we are. And that's the power of combining fasting with our planning and our strategy. And we walk through the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Those are all, when we do that, we are setting ourselves up for the best possibility of success. We'll come back and we'll do additional discussions as we move through fasting and each component of the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, because it is a tremendous and it is an amazing process that helps us right our metabolism. We'll be back and we'll talk more about those as we continue our process to improve our health. Yeah, and so the process, the structure, the planning, all of that, very important in what we do in this space as we try to right our metabolism, get that back on track, and to improve all of the components of our metabolism and our health. There is what do I want to say? There is the tendency, or there is the temptation to say that one part of the plan is more important than the other. Okay? And even myself sometimes, as I'm talking through the plan, I'm like, okay, this is like the big thing, right? But I want you to understand that all of the plan is important. It's kind of like when I was putting together the stuff for outside, when I was getting ready to start strength, strategy, and mindset. So setting up our workout area. And so you open up the box, and of course there are the dumbbells, there's the rack, or even putting the bench together. There's the bench, you got all the parts. And they're the big things, right? So they say, get a wrench, we got these nuts, we got these bolts, where we need a hammer, we need a ratchet, right? So we got all this stuff. And then there's this little itty bitty Allen wrench, Like not even, I forgot even what size it was. Like a little, and I almost missed it. Because all the other stuff, right? The screwdriver and the wrench and the ratchet and all that, those are the important things. But you know that little Allen screw, Allen wrench? It was very important because there was this thing at the bottom that needed to be tightened that really kind of gets the whole process, the whole structure to help keep it together or tighten the bolt that was keeping it together. But if I had said, you know what, okay, that one, yeah, that we don't really need that one right now, I would have been setting myself up for a lots of headache. Right, stuff falling apart, stuff falling over. So all of those components were important, and all of the components of the health action plan are important. The walking and the fasting, the strength training and the balanced bites, the rest and restoration, and the mental or mindset mastery, and planning and structure. All important. They all build and sit on each other, and they create the scaffolding on which this health journey is built. So if you've been doing strength, strategy, and mindset, don't forget about the walking. If you were walking, let's move into strength, strategy, and mindset. Let's move into the bodybuilding, but the strength training. If you are fasting, great, but don't negate what you do during the times when you have to eat, when you're eating window. Balanced bites. All of them are important. For me, the challenge often is the rest and restoration. That's the one. But that's just as important as all the others. And then, of course, strategy, structure, planning, all that, right, kind of helps to solidify everything, right? The kind of the capstone, if you will, the capstone pillar. But very, very, very important. Awesome. All right, let's see. We've got some of our community members, and they're putting in, I think these are for when we're fasting. So Gian says she's doing day 2, so she's currently in the fast. Cornelia's hanging in with us tough for 72 hours. And Kenti did the first day, right? Or is doing the first day. Now, remember, the days, don't let the day numbers, for everybody, don't let the day numbers confuse you, right? Just if I'm on day 2 and you're starting day 1, it doesn't matter. Let that be your day 1. Okay? All right. And our ideas are so important, right? That mental mastery is a very important concept, and it is actually built into, all of those things are built into our EEE formula for success. We educate because we're changing our mindset, we're changing the thought process, we're changing our view. The lens through which we see the world impacts how we interact with the world. So it generates those emotions, those feelings, it generates the behavior and the actions, and those ultimately generate our results. So our results, people think, oh, well, this happened, that's what, no. That result started way over here. And what happens over here is dictated by our view of the world, how we see the world, the lenses through which we view things. Because it has no meaning, it has no effect until we give it meaning. It has no effect until we give it meaning. Once we give it meaning, then all the downstream things begin to happen. So the education is with the idea of changing our thought process, allowing us to evaluate things in a bigger, larger scale, so that we're not always reacting. We are responding. Clarify, observe, pause, execute. We empower, and empowerment comes with the ability to take control, the ability for us to regulate, for us to direct. Self-efficacy says that I am making the decision. My actions, my decisions, my behavior, my consistency is what's driving where I end up. My actions. When we empower, it's kind of like, it's giving authority. That's another idea within empowerment. You have the authority. You have the authority to regulate your body, to say, I am going to do this. Not just the tools to put them into practice, but the authority to say, I'm going to do it. And the empowerment comes from all the tools that we've learned. The HEAT model, the COPE model, Limitless Living Health Action Plan, the Limitless Living Inventory, the domains of health, the pillars of reversing diabetes, how to create a meal, how to create a 7-day meal, emotional intelligence, being mindful, mindful eating, understanding how our body works, 100-day walk to consistency, strength, strategy, and mindset. All of those are tools that allow you to put into practice the things that you were learning under education. And then the encouragement comes from the community. The community. If you want to be successful, if you want to be successful over the long haul, if you want to continually be successful, you want to make sure that you're in community. Can you do it by yourself? Perhaps. Are people successful who don't have community around them? People say they are, but I don't know of anyone who is successful in isolation. And I'm going to say that across the board. Someone, somewhere along the way, somewhere, somehow, did something that assisted. And sometimes we don't see the big, glamorous, flashy things that people do. Small things. Community is important. Community helps us to go. Community helps us to go when we're tired, when we don't even see where we're going, when we don't even understand, can I continue going? Community, very important. And the community that we're building is a powerful part of the platform. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. The triple E formula for success. That's what we're doing. And that's the space that we are in right now. So you want to make sure that you are, with all of those, doing what you need to do. Now, limitless living, which says that we're not being stopped by anything, as part of that, encompasses our ability to be successful in community. And when we're in community, we have to make the community better. That means that as you're seeing benefits in yourself, as you're seeing your health improve, as your blood sugars are getting better, as your weight's going better, as your thought process is improving, as you are seeing reversal and getting off of medications, you have to now say to the community around you, your family, your friends, your coworkers, the people in your job, and at your church, in your community setting, you have to say to them, hey, there's a better way of managing our metabolic diseases. You can't keep it to yourself, because a part of limitless living is I'm improving my situation around me. So first of all, empower. Right? Do the things that you know to do. We're talking about putting structure and planning in place. Commit to the health action plan. Walk through it. And you people say, well, I can't do all of that one time. We're not asking you to do it all the time. We're asking you to start the process. Pillar number 1, walking. Boom, there it is. How do you start? Walking. That's where it is. So first of all, you walk through that process. And then And you don't have to wait till you finish the process. Then you say to somebody else, hey, let's go down this road together. Let's go ahead and do what we need to do. I can show you a way. Come, let's do it together. Let's walk through but don't just send people. Don't just point them and, oh, go over there. No, come with them, walk alongside them. That's the power of community. Say, come on, let's go do it together. And when you do that, you will find the community gets better, you get better, and you're more empowered. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, I want to say to you that I'm always excited when we're in this space, when I'm with you, when we get to talk together and see each other. I can't tell you how excited I am to see the benefits that you're getting and the benefits I'm getting personally as well. That is the process. We'll be back tomorrow, right around 1-ish, 1:30, 1:15. As we do our pop-up live check-in. Tomorrow evening, we'll do our check-in as well and there'll be about 56 hours at that point, or a little later actually, because remember our schedule is a little different. If you remember, we're doing a Zoom conversation tomorrow right around 7:30. Join us for that. It's on the channel. I think I posted that. So join us for that. And we will be back, of course, on Friday as we continue our check-in and do our preparing for the fast, getting through the fast, and ending the fast as well. Let me go ahead, and I think I hear some things going on there in the chat. Let me do that really quickly. Let's see, where are we? So we talked about, okay, so Gianna said, thank you, doctor. Good night. Thank you. Where do you, okay, so we're asking, yes, thank you, Doc, LLG, New Zealand, hey, New Zealand. We got New Zealand, we got South Korea, and hope Doctor, she said, hope Doctor rest up, thanks, yes, we gotta get some rest, gotta get some rest, okay, and Cornelia said, great fasting. Yes. All right. So this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. And we are living limitless lives, which says that we are pushing through the boundaries. We're breaking through the barriers. We are getting around the obstacles. We're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We are showing up with our best selves, our best health, and the best plans for our life. Go live a limitless life, and we will see you at our next check-in, and we'll see you in the community. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.